grew up in Amarillo, Texas, in the Panhandle. Spent most of my life up there until I went off to college, and I went to school at Texas A&M, College Station. Got my bachelor's in science, civil engineering. Went back to Amarillo. Being in Amarillo, for us to go anywhere, we traveled on highways and the roadways going to the west, generally because my mother's brother was in the Air Force stationed in the western United States, and so he moved out every other year, every third year, and so wherever they moved to is where we went on vacation. Those kind of trips exposed me to large civil engineering works, and I think that's where that underlying desire to do things like that came from, and why I went into civil engineering. Back in my career at A&M, I didn't get much involved in the student chapter, wasn't involved in any of the concrete canoe races or anything like that. But as I moved into my professional career, I was always encouraged to get into civil ASCE. It was always a good place to do some networking. And so just over the years I've been involved in ASCE, and so I had ended up in Corpus Christi, where we are today, and spent some time down here working for the city, and ultimately got involved in the leadership of the branch. And from I think it was in 1982 and 83, I was the branch president. And then in 1984, I moved to Dallas, and I've been in Dallas ever since. And continued my involvement in ASCE, and so in 2002 and 2003, served as Texas Section President.
In your educational background and growing up in Amarillo, later going to College Station, were there any mentors or people that really you felt maybe influenced you in civil engineering?
I did. I had a great uncle that had been in engineering school at Georgia Tech when his father had passed away, who happened to be a civil engineer as well. And so he had to leave that and come back and take care of his mother. But later on in life, he would talk to me about engineering and given me some math books and things like that. So that, again, along with that experience from traveling and seeing major projects, kind of set that groundwork for about engineering. And then when I got into high school, I had a homeroom teacher that also happened to be the drafting teacher. And so he had encouraged me quite a bit about engineering. And so knowing my family specifically was an engineer before me, other than my great uncle's father. And so I continued to, I got encouraged to be an engineer and wanted to see, do things like structures, because that was the sexy part of engineering. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I chose. Well, I had an opportunity to go to work for the City of Farmers Branch, and so most of my career has been in government agency type work, being on staff, and so I worked at the City of Farmers Branch, and then moved on to Dallas County Public Works, and spent over 12 years there. The last 6 as the Director of Public Works, and was one of the youngest Public Works Directors for Dallas County that they've ever had, so age 38.
And then now you're with DART?
Now I'm with Dallas Area Rapid Transit, and as I joke with everyone, it's every little boy's dream. I get to play with trains, and so it's a great opportunity. It's certainly a system of moving people around that's very efficient, and you see every day just how important civil engineering is to not only moving people around, but the result from the transit-oriented development around stations, and how everything starts to just gel and work around those areas.
Now, during your year as president of the Texas section, did you try to get out and visit with the branches and the student chapters?
I did. Actually, I looked at it with the approach that over a 3-year period, as the year as president-elect, year as president, and the year as past president, that I would try to visit the 17 branches. I mean, you had your home branch, so there's 16 others. So it became a little more feasible to try to do 5 or 6 branches a year than try to do them all in 1 year. And so I was able to visit all 17. So I got El Paso last as past president. in one particular trip, I went to visit and install officers at the Southeast Texas branch in Beaumont at noon. And then that evening, I had driven back to Houston and was part of the Houston branch meeting, installed their officers
That night?
that night,
Oh, wow.
and then flew home. So it was a very long day, but it was a very efficient day. So, but it worked out, and it worked out that Southeast Texas branch is flexible about when their meetings are, and so it made it happen. But from my work experience, I had an opportunity to visit Asia to tour design, build transit projects, and in Hong Kong, Bangkok, and Australia. And so I was able to take that experience and roll it into a 30-minute presentation. And so it made it real easy to go visit branches.
Yeah.
Because I came with a program to present for them, and that made it easy for them as well, because they're always looking for a program.
Yeah.
I think it's a great organization. I think it's a great way to get that training, whether even though it may be in an informal setting of various roles of leadership, by getting involved, working on committees, working your way up to be a chair of a committee, get you in a position where you make presentations, speak in front of crowds. I'm very uncomfortable speaking in front of crowds. Always have been. I think back to my dear mother, who forced me at 8th grade to take 8th grade speech. I'm always going, how did she know? How did she know that all these years later that I would be president of an organization like this, or as I was fortunate enough last year to moderate a session on at the Royal Society of Edinburgh in Scotland. Never would imagine that this mumbling little boy from Amarillo would ever be in a position to do that. So, I think where I learned to get over that ability, or that, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, just the apprehension of speaking in front of crowds came from being in ASCE, having to stand up and make presentations, to lead meetings, and it was, that's why I think for a young engineer or a student engineer, it's a great organization to be part of. You make friends that last forever there as well, and it's a great thing to be.
A few last questions here. I know now that you're on some of the national committees. How has that influenced you? Has it kind of challenged you? Can you look back on your Texas section experience and draw from that as you serve on some of these national committees?
Well, my Texas section experience was a little bit challenging in my year, because we started out the year with a $60,000 shortfall in the budget.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. It's a huge problem at the Texas section. And so it was a very challenging year to find ways to change how we did our operations to make it through. And by the end of the year, we actually got to the point where we were about $30,000 ahead. So it was a very successful year, but it wasn't just me, it was a whole group of people making that happen. And so we did. It puts you in a position, you're more of a facilitator type leader, that you have to kind of work everyone to try to get there. Fortunately, I've been able to move up in the leadership and on to be on the board of direction for the national agency and serve on a couple of committees and chair some of them. And Jack and I have been on that together, and have had our wonderful conversations.
We've had our challenges.
We have challenges, but we work through them.
We work them through.
We work them through, and so I appreciate that. You have to appreciate the diversity and dissenting opinions, and accept those and work through them, and to find the overall good. And so that's what you do. And so again, all of that comes from being involved in ASCE. If I do what I do now, would I do it again? Yes, I would. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I don't think I would trade